you know he is my friend. Say if I just stay out the grave, he'll see that I don't go through the pen. Mr. Clark is a lawyer, he could lie stream. He's the first man to prove it.
What's going on, fishy friends? It is hard to say and almost unbelievable, but we are in season 5 of the Crazyhorse Fishing Hour. I can remember when it was just me, no pretty ladies sitting next to me. When it was just me, unboxing fish finders that nobody ever wanted, and not really knowing what to do. And it's just amazing to see how the show has evolved over 5 years. If this is your first time watching, I'm Crazyhorse, Grant Elliott. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been in this area now for, living on the bay for about 7 or 8 years, in the DMV area for about 20. But if you guys don't know, Anastasia, my co-host here, Lady Chesapeake. How you doing, Lady Chesapeake?
I'm doing awesome. Looking forward to our fishing trip next week, though.
Fishing trip? Where are we going?
Oriental, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah?
Specs. What else is out there?
Specs, puppy drum.
Puppy drum.
If we get a little lucky. We'll probably be using some of the gear of our guest tonight. We're super excited to have Captain LJ of Jigs on tonight. If you look in some of these boxes up here, it's just full of his jigs. Really great stuff, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Upcoming shows, we have Butch Huber coming on next week, right?
Yes.
Okay, Butch is going to come on and talk about his kayak charter business that he has. He puts people on Snakehead, and he's also going to be talking about Legion of Anglers, which he's a part of. It's a fishing group around here that's picked up a lot of steam and momentum over the last year. And after that, it's a show that we're both really excited about.
Yes.
We have the opportunity to bring Jim Cooper on of Heroes on the Water. Anastasia, why don't you tell us a little bit about Heroes on the Water?
Oh, such an important mission they have. So I'm former military, 14 years Coast Guard, and this organization is run by veterans, people on active duty, even reservists, and they help disabled veterans really just get encouraged, right? So you've been in war, you unfortunately lose a limb, some other traumatic things happen, and you feel like you lost your purpose in your life. I think we can all relate to that at some point, maybe. Sure. So they help these veterans get back out and rediscover purpose in their life by fishing. And I personally can attest to that in my own life. I, had my own struggles, and fishing always makes me feel better. So
what kind of fishing? What kind of fishing do they do?
Oh, kayak fishing. So one of my favorites, I love to kayak fish. So veterans who've never been on the water, really amazing testimonies from this organization. I was watching a video, it had me in tears. I really love their mission and what they do, and I look forward to that interview for sure. It's
such an important thing, and we're really happy and proud to support it and to bring Jim Cooper on the show. After that, we'll have Travis Long, who's actually good friends with Captain LJ that we're having on tonight. Travis is a really awesome charter captain on the Chesapeake Bay. But without further ado, let's bring in Captain LJ.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
There's the man. LJ is the owner and founder of GI Jigs. Served also in it's kind of the theme of the show, maybe the season. But served in the military for 25 years. LJ is a lifetime angler and got started selling jigs with Tyler's Tackle in 2015. Is that right, LJ?
Yeah, for sure.
How you doing tonight?
I'm sorry?
How you doing tonight, LJ?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's so fun to be here, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys and share some stories with everybody. It's just going to be a good time.
Well, we're really excited to have you, LJ. Man, you know, as I was saying on the pre-show, my boxes are full of your jigs.
Well, thank you for purchasing
Yeah.
those.
Right here.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was ordering them from you for probably 3 years before I realized you lived like 5 miles from me.
I know, it's crazy.
Paying shipping and all this, you're probably packing
know.
up this stuff like, what the heck is wrong with this guy?
I got you.
But tell us the story about GI Jigs. You know, the jigs got very popular, obviously, in this region. Not gotten it; it is very popular.
You know, I think.
Tell us how you got started making jigs and how GI Jigs got started.
I think it would be. I think it's best to know where I come from. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how this happened, and it wasn't intentional. It all happened on its own. And you know, like you said, I was in the military for 25 years, right? And I was in a special band, one of 27 or 67 members, the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps. And if anybody knows anything about the Old Guard, the 3rd U.S. Infantry, we have the Tomb Guards, caissons platoons, guns platoons, drill team, the Old Guard. We have our own band, the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps. It's all spit and polish, like every detail. And I always told my guys, I said, when we go do a 5-mile parade, every step counts.
Yes,
because you never, all of our foot heights are the same. All of our heels and toes tap at the same moments, and every freeze frame picture is important. That's what goes into GI Jigs, that level of detail. Okay. So what happened is that I was just fishing. I love light tackle, and I had these problems with jig heads, and they were triangular or they're that shape, nothing matched up. They ripped up all my soft plastics. I'd throw all kinds of money away after the end of fishing trips. I'd be so mad. I'd get on my boat and I had a file, and I'm filing down, the timekeepers, and I got paint markers, and I got eyeballs glued onto the sides of these things. They're falling off. I got tired of it. So I looked for a couple of years, and I finally found a guy up in New Jersey, and he makes molds for fishermen like I was at that time. And he'll take a blank do-it mold, cut it out. He'll design with AutoCAD, everything. I took him stuff I was pouring into plaster of Paris molds that I made myself, and we got this stuff going. I made a 1-ounce jig head. And I only made it for like me, my family, my friends. And then I was like, hey, we need a heavier one. We need a 3/4, just kind of progress from there. And I never, ever intended to sell these things. Not even a thought in my mind. And then one year, Tyler's Tackle, Georgie over there here in Chesapeake Beach, he said, hey, LJ, man, can you help me with these winter fishing seminar shows? I need some help. And I said, well, I don't know if I want to do that. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what, I'll let you sell those jigs at my table and you keep the money. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. That's a great way to promote my charter fishing business. I'm a charter captain. I could get my name out there. I could be at these shows. Like, I was so excited about doing that, right? And then I couldn't make enough jig heads for each show. And I was pulling my hair out and stuff. And then at that time, I did IT work for a patent and trademark law firm, and they were one of the largest in the United States over here in Old Town, Virginia. And I said, I would be an idiot if I didn't get a patent on my design and a trademark on my name, because this is somebody copies my stuff, I'm going to be really mad, because I put a lot of time and work and effort in this. And that's where it sprung. It just took off from there. I guess it was just a process of being in the Old Guard, paying attention to what I was doing when I was fishing, like I did with my uniforms, my music, our drill, and then putting that level of attention into the actual process of making those jigs. I think that's a good way to kind of throw it out there to everybody.
That's great. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that, Captain LJ. One thing I did want to remind the audience, if this is your first time watching, is that we do a question of the night, and the question of the night is decided by the guest, who in this case will be Captain LJ. So in any questions asked by the audience, I'm going to filter them. So if you guys, ask if Captain LJ is single or something, that's not coming through. I'm filtering that out. But any questions that come through, I'm going to prioritize those questions over our own, over this long list of worthless questions that Anastasia and I put together. So ask your questions. I'm going to prioritize those. I'll put them up on the screen, and LJ will answer them eloquently and accurately. And at the end of the night, he will choose who the question of the night is, and he's a step in front of me. What do we got for a prize tonight, Captain?
I've got a nice I got a nice stash of GI jigs that I personally like. They're my favorites. Like if you jump on my boat and you look at my line, this stuff's tied on. Okay.
Wow.
I've got some. I got some BKDs. I went over to Bay Country, over there in Edgewater. Saw that. I bought some of I love these things. They're whacking these fish right now. Also, I'm gonna throw in a couple of these mackerel busting baits. They're fat boys.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, and guys, this is winner takes all. There's no second prize. So
like when I set you up, I'm gonna set you up.
Yeah.
These are get into my camera the right way. These are some of my favorite paddle tails right here. Slam Shady by Z-Man.
What are those? 4-inch or 5-inch? Those look like 4 inches.
I think these are 4. Yeah, 4-inch.
Good trout ones. Yeah.
And look, we'll probably talk about this later, but I'll talk about matching up these baits with the colored jig heads I'm sending out with, because there's a reason for these things. Okay. And this beer run is the bomb. Like that beer. I love paddle tails. I throw paddle tails more than anything. Seriously.
So guys, if you're at home and you know somebody who likes GI jigs and they're not on, tell them to get on, because I mean, I didn't bring out a calculator or anything, but I'm doing the math.
I ain't done yet.
And that,
Cobias and bulls right here.
Wow.
This is like right now all the way into June.
Oh my gosh.
And then this is right now into June. So like, yeah, I got a nice wad of stuff here for folks.
So one good question, guys, and you're looking at like $100 in gear.
Okay, and I'll tell you what else is going to happen with this. At the end of the show, don't let me forget, I've set up on the website right now, gijigs.com, and there's a 15% captain's discount for anyone listening to this podcast. You'll get the code at the end of the podcast for the discount code. So when you jump on my website, you'll get an automatic 15% discount.
Oh my gosh. So you get the Captain LJ Power Pack and a discount?
Yes. So everybody wins. That's the whole bottom line. If you win this, you still get the discount. And if you don't win it, you still get the discount. Pretty good deal, eh? Let's have some fun.
Hey, ladies.
I'm just going to walk off the show.
I was about to say, don't you have a fever or something? Because if she goes, she can like imposter a guest and ask the best question ever, man.
That has to be the best prize since I've known you. That has been thrown out there.
Not even
awesome.
Close. Not even close.
That's awesome. By the maker himself. I want some. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, sorry. I was like starstruck by the Power Pack. Yeah. So, everybody has their beginning stories. So, I have my story and how I got involved in fishing. I'm curious, how did you get involved in fishing? What was your story? How does that connect?
Oh God. Well, I'm a Hoosier. I was born in Indiana, and I lived on off of the Wabash River. And I remember when I was 5, my dad took me fishing, and it's just on the bank of the Wabash. It's no big deal, right? And we caught bluegill. And then my dad, you know, those baskets that kind of expand their wire and you throw the fish in there and you throw it in the water and they kind of swim around. Yeah, that's how I got started. So that's how I remember, you know, getting. And then I could never stay home. Like, we had a creek by my house. We didn't have the bay. Like, I couldn't imagine if I lived out here. I would go crazy. And that's how it all started. You know, I always got in trouble. I never came home on time. Like, I would stay out there. I would fish, and I knew I was going to get in trouble and get grounded. But I stayed out there. I couldn't stop fishing. You know, that's how that was. That's how I got started.
That's awesome.
So, what's you're a Hoosier? What's your free throw percentage?
Oh, hey, it's pretty good. Like, I could shoot free throws. Like, I even practice closing my eyes. That's not even an issue. Or, dude, I got stories about shooting ball. Like, yeah.
I mean, fish. So I'm guessing your childhood pretty much consisted of basketball and fishing, right?
Yeah, when I was a kid, we played basketball. I played football. I wrestled and I ran track, and that probably set me up pretty good for when, you know, I joined the Army. So
we got a first question rolling. It's from Michael Cool.
Okay.
Michael, I just have to tell you that it's for best question, not longest question. All right. So Michael asked. He says, "I'm planning a fishing tournament for high school kids. Entry fee is go to a trash cleanup day. My first time doing this, trying to get kids off the video games and on the water. I profit nothing and don't want to. What is the best advice you recommend to me to help to entice some kids to join in the cleanup day tournament?"
Right on.
Keep it fun. Keep it fun. Plan activities around what you're doing, and when the kids get there, they're having fun. So that's the key to kids. Make it fun. And then if you could kind of tell them maybe 3 things that you're going to try to accomplish that day, and then that way they had fun, and then they achieved something. They had goals, and then they achieved something while they were doing it, and then they feel better about themselves because they actually accomplished something.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's a good question. So going to these lovely ladies right here. So what was your inspiration for this? How'd this come about? Your jigs here. The design, the colors.
Oh, the actual jig head itself,
yes,
right?
The jig head.
Oh, yeah. Hey, let me pull one out here real quick. Got them everywhere. Let me grab one here in a second. Okay, so am I getting it? Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is the Eye Jig, and the whole purpose of this, you see, this is what I call the mating surface. I call this the keeper tine, and then the actual eye socket itself. So I wanted a jig head that had a nice profile for my BKDs, my bustin' baits, and my Z-Mans. And when you match those things up here, that mating surface, I spec that out. That it is that designed for a specific purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, you know, I wanted the biggest eye possible in the jig head that I can put in there for that weight. You know, my wife Shoni, she said, "Yeah, make sure you got the biggest eye in there that you can." She loved to fish too.
Oh, okay.
And so that's what we did. And we have an eye socket. All those eyes are glued into those sockets, and then the hook eye.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
He's back.
I'm sorry. But the hook eyelet here is placed in the front because it allows the jig, when you let it fall, if it's got a fork tail or a single tail jig, you know, jerk bait on there, it'll fall straight down. And the other reason is when you put a paddle tail on there, it goes like this through the water. The head wobbles like this through the water. So kind of like anyway.
So thanks for sharing your secrets with us. So Grant says that he only has these in his box, right? So I'm sure there are other brands out there. I think I heard of Reaction Tackle, maybe some other ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
What sets yours apart from everyone else?
It's
Tough questions. Dang.
Just bring
yeah,
it.
I like those questions though. But what sets our jigs apart is the eye, the quality,
Bye.
because you can bang these things all over the place. They'll chip because the weakest point of this jig head is actually the soft lead that it's painted over. We have I can't tell you how many hundreds of dollars that we have spent on painting every color, certain temperatures, certain times. We throw them off my balcony 20 feet straight down into concrete. Like, we bang these things up. I spent a lot of money doing that kind of stuff. So also our baits are UV enhanced. They're not going to tear up your soft plastics with these keeper tines, and they have great action. So that's what sets us apart, is the detail and the quality. So when you get, like, I started using a bait last May. It was a 3/4 ounce Pink Lady Glow. I caught hundreds of fish on that bait and used it into the fall until I had to go to a heavy bait. So they just, unless you lose them or give them away, you don't have to buy a whole bunch of them. You just got to get them in your hands, get the colors you want.
Excuse me. Yeah. Captain, I'll tell you another thing, and you didn't mention this, but like, your paint job on these things is top notch.
Thank you.
If you fish around here a lot, you obviously know, we're fishing rocks a lot. Rock fish, right?
Yeah.
We're fishing rocks and structure, rock, structure, current, and that puts a beating on your jig. And I'm not gonna throw anyone else under the bus.
Nah. But
there's a lot of competing jig brands around here. Some of them made by guys around here, and that paint job just does not hold up. And your paint job on these things is just top notch. So
yeah, thank you. It's that attention to detail that we started everything out with. It's just who I am. That's where it comes from. It's a lot of time, but it's quality. That's the result, and that's what you got to do. When you spit shine your boots, it's a lot of time, right?
Yes.
Right, Lady C?
Yes.
You were in the honor guard, right?
Yes, honor guard. Good times.
Oh, her attention to detail is much better than mine. I feel like a slob. I feel like a slob around you two. Like, but so got other questions rolling in. One from our friend Rashawn. Where did you fish while in the Army?
Oh, what's crazy about that? Everywhere. Canada, New York, California, everywhere, because we would, in any chance that we got to get on it like a C-130, do a military hop, guess what I brought? A rod and a bag of lures, and I would travel around, and that's how I fished everywhere. Yeah, anywhere I could, I fished. I met so many people. It was so much fun. I give my fish away all the time. They loved it.
I can't. Gosh, it's killing me. It's on the tip of my tongue. Friend of mine, but he's logging in under his fishing persona. But we'll say it in Spanish: La pasión por la pesca.
Passion for fish.
And gosh, buddy, I apologize. I can't remember your name right now, but I know you're someone I communicate with a lot on Facebook. I'm a lover of fishing, and this idea sometimes comes to my head. I would like to know until when you see yourself still fishing, or if you have thought of a special day to retire from fishing. Wow, are you trying to take the guy's place or something?
No.
I got a hunch that my last day of fishing is going to be in my boat, and that'll be my last day here. So yeah, no way.
There's two ways that I'd like to die. One of them, it's either fishing, or I can't talk about it because this is a family show.
We'll let that go.
Yeah, it's either fishing or that. Let's see. We have any other questions coming in? All right, back to ours.
All right.
Yeah, so you mentioned something the other day, and we'll get to that in a second, but this is a teaser for that, and it is, it's cold outside. Bay's frozen. But have you been fishing recently there, sir?
I was out yesterday.
And did you
I
catch?
fish as much as I possibly can. You know, I started about 15 years ago. I finally decided that I was going to get a boat that I could fish 12 months a year in. So I went out and bought a 20-foot Grady White Adventure, and I had an enclosure made for it for, the cabin. It had a little cuddy cabin in it, that kind of thing. So I can get out of the weather and I fish. Because most of the times it was just me or a buddy. And so winter fishing really started about 15 years ago for me. And I started to notice different patterns, a totally different pattern. It's, if you think about it, right now, as we sit here today, guess where all the fish are? They're not in the rivers. They're not in the creeks. Now, maybe there's some big cows up there in shallow water up north of the bridge, up by the warm water discharges and things like that, feeding on whatever.
Wait, I thought the only fish in the bay were at the power plant.
Hey, they're in there. They're in there, but it's hard to get me. Ask my family, ask my friends. It's hard to get me to go to the power plant. It just is hard to get me to go there. I remember one time my son asked me like 3 times, "Come on, Dad." And we went, but still, it's hard to get me to go there. But the majority of the fish, they're not there. They're out on ledges in the off of the channel, and they're laying on their bellies. And the reason they're doing that is because they're staying in the bay. They're fish that are resident fish this year. Doesn't mean they'll stay here next year. They're resident fish this year, and they're just wintering, and they have really big bellies. They feed and they spend no energy. Like, that is their goal. And they're basically, I don't know. I'll explain it like this. They're like my cat in the middle of the day that always lays in a certain part of the living room where the sun's coming through the window, and he just lays there and sleeps all afternoon, right? That's what these fish are doing. And they're all out there. But the thing of it is like, we're so used to people are so used to seeing birds and like all of these fish stacked up underneath their boat after they run up to the birds, and like the birds are telling them everything, or that don't happen in the winter. If you can imagine a football field, and even bigger than that, and you see seagulls on the water sitting there doing nothing, that's those rockfish. They're just sitting there doing nothing. They're staying low in the water column because that's where it's warmest. So yesterday we had 36 degrees surface temperature where I was fishing. But I'm going to guesstimate that somewhere between 10 and 15 degrees, it was that much warmer down there where they were laying. They seem to be sitting yesterday in about 62 feet. They're slightly going
62
deeper.
feet. Wow.
Yeah.
You're saying they're under seagulls that are just sitting there?
No, there's no birds. I saw one bird.
Got it.
He came over because he saw me, thought I might catch a white perch and snag it, and then he could eat some dinner for the rest of the week. So no, there are no birds. There's nothing. In fact, I can't tell you how many times I catch fish on a white screen, totally white, and they're big fish. Like, where are these fish?
That's actually was going to be my next question, was like how these fish show up on your sonar.
Okay, so I have a Simrad, and I normally fish Lowrance. I've always had Lowrance. All of these fish finders are good, and they're all quality. But those are the ones that that's the one I'm used to seeing. And the Simrad is made by Navico, I believe, and Lowrance is made by Navico. So they're the same screen. It's just that the resolution on the Simrad's better. on the model that I have. So anyway, what they look like, the digital down scan, they look like little yellow and red dots on the bottom. You might think it's a rock, like a rock down there or something.
Well, how do you know when to stop there then? Just
so what? Here's the thing. I move along, and I will see some bait. I'll see some of those marks like I described, and then when I stop, and I like to start deep, and then I come shallow, and then when I stop seeing that stuff, then I know the range that I need to fish.
mm-hmm.
And I like to drift basically from the shallow water to the deep water, or from the deep water to the shallow water. And I prefer the wind to push my boat and the tide in one of those two directions. Okay. And if, like yesterday, there was no wind and the tide was running strong, and I could only drift south when the tide was going out, and I could only drift north when the tide was coming in. So I put down the spot lock. And if my ideal drift speed is 0.5. And if I can go one of those two directions at that speed, however I do it, I'm going to have my best success.
That's great. Yeah, I had dogs and cats my whole life, but I don't have them anymore because I have spot lock. And
I do too. It's awesome.
And spot lock listens to me a lot more than any of my dogs ever did. If you've seen my video recently down at Jupiter, you can see me. I'm like, good spot lock. I love you.
Yeah, I saw that.
Love that spot lock, man.
Yeah,
I got some other questions coming in. Another one from Rashawn. Rashawn asks, do you have any swing jig heads coming?
No, I've thought about it. I've just, I'm working on other lures right now, but not at this time. I mean, we actually have a lot of skews. I'd like to make those swing jig heads. I know how effective they are, particularly with, small baits and things like that for trout and puppy drum. And oh man, I know they're good baits, but just not at this time. I'm not saying
Rashawn, actually, that's a good question, buddy.
Yeah,
that's a good question because the only non-GI jig that I have in my box are swing jigs.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yeah.
They're good. I got a lot of buddies that use those too. They're excellent baits.
Yeah, we got several questions coming in, but this one just makes me laugh. Michael Cool's going for it. I don't know what he said. He said, did you ever consider fishing on a kayak with Alan Batista or other famous anglers, Anastasia?
Please, let's do it. Let's go break some ice together with ladders to get out of the bay. Let's do this. Yes.
I'll tell you what, I went fishing with Alan, I think about 2 months ago. Alan and I are good friends, and that guy catches fish like no one else. And there's no question that Alan can catch fish on those striper snipers. There's no question. We did a video. You'll probably see it. If you go to Striper Snipers YouTube channel, you'll see a video on my boat. And we went out fishing with those striper snipers, and Alan just absolutely whacked him. And I told Troy owns that company. I told Troy, I said, all right, but I'll take you out and we'll make that video, but Alan has to come. Yeah. And Alan said, I'm in.
Yes.
I think Alan actually, it was actually in his jigging book. I believe he talks a lot about striper snipers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's not someone that just says like, they're good baits. No, he uses them and he catches good fish, Yeah, I think he likes the go-to, and he likes my go-to glow, and I don't make many of those, jig head, and he puts on a skirt and a pearl 7, or I don't know what they call it, what Troy calls them, but they're fat boys, but the pearl white, and he'll take that tip, and he'll dip it in some orange spike it, and they just love it. Just love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I was just thinking when we're talking about Alan Batista, I think of who else is on that list? Travis and Pete. I call them the Legion of Beastmasters because that's all they catch is these massive beasts.
Yeah. I mean, Travis catches a lot of big fish, and he's caught a lot of big fish in my boat too. I remember. You mind if I tell a story about how we met?
No, please.
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so it was awesome. So I'm at Tyler's Tackle Shop right here in town, and I'm just over there supporting Georgie, talking to people that were in this. I always talk to people when I'm in there. And Travis came in one day and he goes, "Oh, yeah, I've always trolled, and I'm trying to get into this light tackle thing, and what do I do?" And I told Travis, I said, "Okay, Travis, you need these jig heads, you need these jerk baits, and go to Trip Bay and all this stuff." And Georgie didn't have it all. And then so I'm like, okay, all right. Nobody ever listens to me. And so like a week later, I bump into Travis at Tyler's again. And he goes, "Man, thanks a lot for telling me all that stuff. I went on the internet, I bought that stuff, and I went out there and did it. We crushed them." And I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody did what I told him to do.
We're friends for life.
Oh yeah, that is exactly what happened.
So you choose your friends based on obedience. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, no, but people ask me for advice all the time, and then do they do it? No, and I'm used to that happening. Like, well,
Yeah.
did you go out and get that busting bait in the dry ice? No, I used something that was the same thing. I used a Bass Assassin. Well, why are you telling? Or
It's a good bait. It's a good bait. BKD.
It is. They're both good baits, but that's not what they're hitting that day. I mean,
Right.
like that week. You need to. It matters. Just saying.
Yeah. Before I bring up this guy's question, David, I really appreciate your support through the years, man. You're a big supporter of my YouTube channel. Always comment positively on Facebook. So thank you so much, David Hall. But David asked, why is it important to use contrast with your lures and soft plastics?
That's a good question.
What is the best colors to match?
That's a good question.
Ooh. That's an open question. As far as contrast, I think contrast is very important. I like, and all of our baits are set up with contrast. I think it's a very good way to get a fish's attention. Contrast, gosh, there's so many things I could say about this. There's times where you probably could use a straight chartreuse bait, and catch a fish. But I find that you will get more bites if you have a contrast in it. There's something that offers that fish. Even like in Churple right now, Churple's a great color. It's got green and the purple in there. And that's the same concept with the GI jigs. You just need that addition. There's a few bait like the all glow. I call this the magic. Oops, it's the magic. It's all glow white. But when it gets down in the water column, it glows and it's luminescent. And fish are used to seeing luminescent bait fish that they prey on. So, thanks for the question, Dave.
Yeah, another question coming from, and I put it together, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe La Pasión por la Pesca is Phil Green, my friend.
Oh, Phil. Yeah, I know Phil.
Yeah,
I saw him, I think yesterday. Yeah, I saw Phil yesterday, as a matter of fact.
I feel like a dummy for not putting that together, but he said, I asked this question because I have met many people who used to fish a lot, but then they stopped fishing forever, especially when they got married. Oh, he's just saying tight lines and keep up the good work. That was Phil. And then we have a question from Paul Sabong, who says, why do winter rockfish seem to prefer metal jigs over soft plastics?
I always get mine on the metal.
Oh, Paul. Hey, man. Thanks for checking in. All right. So it's a good question. I think there's two things to that. It's the presentation. It's just the presentation. I use a lot of metal jigs right now. They're not all GI jigs. I am not afraid to throw top water, jerk baits, whatever catches fish, I'm fishing it. So I think it's presentation. Right now you want to use, I'm using 3 ounces, 3.5 ounces. I don't have a rain minnow that heavy yet. I'm still working on the design of it. I have my first prototypes right now, but I've got a ways to go. Maybe by next year I can get it out. I know what's going to work with my 3-ounce rain minnow. It's just a matter of figuring out how I'm going to manufacture it and the design of it. I'm going to get that design right. Some good metals to use right now that I like are the Shimano. What is that? The Shimano, the Sniper. Let me pull one out here. Y'all know what this is when you see it.
Yeah.
Right. That boy. That's a good bait to go with right now. One thing I would tell you to do, though, pinch those barbs. Pinch them, pinch them, pinch them. You're releasing the fish anyway. If you get it in yourself, somehow, it's going to come right out. And also, you're not going to injure those fish. So pinch those barbs. So Colt Sniper, that's what it's called. Jeez.
Yeah, Travis just chimed in with that. Thanks, Travis. Let's see what we have here. Yes, Adrian? Go ahead, Adrian.
Oh, well, I think we already covered my question. He talked about his latest jig.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I screwed everything up as usual, but La Pasión por La Pesca is actually our friend Junior Jimenez, and Phil Green is Phil Green. And Phil had a question. He's competing with Michael Cool for longest question of the night. Unfortunately, the longest question does not win a prize. But LJ came to the ramp while we were breaking the ice. He said not to worry if we couldn't get it because we could come back and break it all up. We ended up breaking it all up, but I forgot to ask him if he had any special tricks for breaking the ice at the ramp.
That's a good question. I love that question.
I like that question.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
I do have a special way to break that ice. I broke ice 3 times this year. So, in the back of my pickup truck, I keep a 6-foot aluminum ladder. And I know it's funny, but it works. And I take that ladder and I just jam it through the ice as far away from that dock as I can, and I work it back in, and I just go all the way to the deep end. I go around the dock, and I also break that ice on the other side of the dock, because when I push all that busted ice, it needs to go somewhere. And I've even had guys in the stern of my boat with that ladder and just like jamming it in the ice and just breaking all that stuff up so we can get out. As long as the main stem of the creek is clear in Chesapeake Beach, if we put the time in, sometimes it takes 30 minutes, an hour. If you put the time in, you're going to launch and you're going to get back home. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm always impressed when I see photos of kayakers chopping through the ice. And I was talking to Grant the other day about this, and I can't remember who it was, but there was a kayaker I saw on Facebook cutting through the ice for a pickerel. Really thick ice, broke through it, got to the pickerel. I'm impressed when kayakers really go after it. not that I don't give kudos to people who have boats, but kayaking in
Oh, yeah.
ice, that's
Yeah.
hardcore.
I don't know if I'd go breaking ice for a pickerel. That's
I would break ice for a pickerel. Still on my list.
Yeah,
I'm calling you.
Alan wears those Arctic jackets, suits.
He
and
wears
yeah,
dry suits. Actually, I think he has Kodacat dry suits. I've actually never worn it. I bought this search and rescue dry suit several years ago and never put it on. But German Escobar, or Herman Escobar, asks, you prefer a casting or spinning outfit?
depends. It depends on what I'm doing. Okay, if I'm vertical jigging, I want a baitcaster. Right now, the best rod is to use right now is baitcaster. But right now, you need a heavy rod, and you need 30-pound braid. I use 60-pound leaders, and
How many pound liters?
60
60.
60-pound leaders. Those big fish on the spines on their backs.
Yeah.
Big fish take that leader and they rake it right over there. You'll feel it.
And if you're fishing in 62 feet of water, I guess the other thing you got to consider is if you're jigging that fish up 62 feet, there's a lot of time in there for them to nick that leader up, right?
Yeah. Don't short yourself on, the lightest I will use is 40. The lightest leader, fluorocarbon. So the lightest I use is 40. So definitely use the heavy stuff. Use the big stick. So if you use him, I don't have one of those nice bait casters yet. I will have one at some point, and one of those nice bait caster rods. But it's got to be a rod heavy enough that you would use to catch bull reds or cobias with. Don't bring out the little baby sticks. I leave mine at the house. I use them all fall. I use them all during the summer and the spring. But right now, pull out the big boys and the heavy rod. Match your equipment to the fish you're targeting. It'll set you right.
So LJ, help me out with something. I'm going to go off script a little bit, as I always do. But when I first moved to this region, I bought I think it's probably the complete book of striped bass fishing. And in that book, it basically says that big striped bass come into the bay, they, spawn, and then, they get out of here. And that's why you catch, 20 to 25 inch stripers all summer long around here. But you're talking about, the fish that we let me see if I can throw this up. But the fish that this one right here, I can't do it. It's in our background. But the one we used for the promo for that show, that's a 35-inch fish, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. That wasn't even a big one. That was one we caught, I don't know, a week or two ago.
So this idea that the big fish are out of here and down there, at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay, just isn't true.
Well, are you asking me where the big fish are?
No, I'm just saying that whole idea that large breeders move out of the bay during the
pattern. Here's what I see with the pattern of those big fish. Okay, right now as we're speaking, there's thousands and I don't know millions I don't know of big fish outside of the EEZ in the Atlantic Ocean right now. Okay, we had. I think people can remember in December down at Point Lookout, I know Walleye caught some. I know Travis caught some. I think Travis caught his biggest fish of his life. It was at least his heaviest. It was over 50. And there was a nice slug. There weren't many of them, but there were pods of those big bass right down there in December. Those fish did move up the bay. Okay. So it was last Wednesday, I saw on my side scan those pods of those big fish. They're moving around. The difference what I'm finding is that your big striped bass, they're always moving around. They're moving around from place to place, haunt to haunt. They don't stay like in one area like our upper 20-inch rockfish do, and say our low 30s and mid 30-inch fish. They'll hang out in a certain area. They'll just stay there. Your bigger fish, your 40, 50 inchers, those fish, they don't care about that cold water. They're moving, and they go where they want. If they want to stay somewhere, they will, and if they don't, they just leave. So they're not staying in one place, and that's why when I'm fishing, I don't have a honey hole out there. Like, I'm fishing open water. I don't have a honey hole. I'm moving. I'm like, last week, my buddy Charlie, I called, he called me, hey man, anything going on? I said, yeah, man, I'm out here, because he lives here in town too, right? And he jumped out there with me, and they caught some fish. And I called him up because we didn't have anything. We didn't have a 40. And it's getting late in the day. We had about 2 hours left. And I called Charlie, and I don't want him to think I know something that he don't, you know what I mean? So I called him and said, hey, look, I'm just going to go north a couple of miles and kind of just work the channel up there. We're looking for the one. And lo and behold, we got lucky. We found the one. It was over 40. And it was just worth the effort. But what I find is the pattern of these big fish, they could be at the Gooses today, and they'll be up here at the beach tomorrow, and then next week they're up there and at the up north of the bridge. They just move around more than your smaller fish will.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think it always makes me laugh when people are talking about honey holes and spot burning on the Chesapeake Bay. I'm like, we're talking about the freaking Chesapeake Bay.
Yes, it's huge. And you know what?
Huge.
The open water fishing. If I lived in the South River, I want to come down here. I'm going to go the shortest place I can out of the South River because it's cold out there. And look, a 3-4 hour fishing trip for me in this kind of weather, I'm cool. Let's get out of here, And that's why I fish. It's not one spot, but it's why I just fish out. I tell you, where did you catch your fish? Out front. Just out front. It's no big deal. Just go out there and just go fishing. If I launched out of Breezy Point, I wouldn't come up here in front of the beach. I would go right out in front with it, which is the Gooses at the mouth of the chop tank. So it's that kind of thing. Hey, can I tell you about a couple of weird things we caught so far this winter?
Oh, that was the next question. Yes.
Was it really?
Yes.
Hey, we got like a lower 20-inch rockfish, and we got it in the boat.
You mean bass?
Yeah, rock bass.
A rockfish?
Yeah.
That's not that weird.
Well, okay. But what was weird about it, it had what I thought was 2 pieces of brown fishing line sticking out of its mouth. Like, oh man, he got a lure stuck in his mouth. And so I got it in my thumb, right? I thumbed it, and I go pull that brown fishing line, and it breaks.
It's a shrimp.
It was a shrimp.
Yeah.
And it was a big shrimp. And this is January. What is a shrimp doing out here? We caught a small flounder out here. We have rockfish puking up small croakers out here. And we caught a horseshoe crab. I'm like, huh? You don't know what's out there. That there is so much mystery to that bay. It's unreal.
I keep telling people with shrimp, more and more shrimp popping up. I caught a bunch of shrimp with a cast net down at Janes Island last year for bait.
I bet you did.
And a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking 20 or 30 shrimp in about 5 minutes. And I keep saying, if you like Florida's fishery, just wait 10 years. We'll have it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
that's
amazing.
An exaggeration, but like, I bet you tarpon in 10 years in Maryland is going to be a reality.
2 years ago, we had tarpon in the bay in the Chop Tank River.
Yeah,
we did. Like, they weren't big; they were small guys. And I, my buddy Chris Petreo, he's a charter captain, and they were out there chumming, or maybe live lining, and they're catching these. He thought they were like shad or something. And you come to find out they were tarpon. Like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I certainly wouldn't mind. I mean, I drive, that's my pilgrimage every year. If I could save, 1,200 miles in gas, or however heck, it's not that long, but 900 miles in gas, I'd be all for it. John Walbert asked, what is your go-to lure, color, and weight for big bull reds? Do you have a different jigging technique for those than stripers?
That was the other question. There you go.
Oh, for the bull reds?
Uh-huh.
Okay. That's easy. All you got to do, like I fish one lure for bulls. That's it. 1.5 ounces, right there.
Wow.
And this XL.
You might want to move it over a little bit. There you go.
There we go. And the XL, the Z-Man 8-inch XL hot pink.
Now, does that have a paddle tail on it, or is that?
Nope, it's a jerk bait. It's bubble gum.
So it's a lot more like a BKD. It's just going to be a little bit tougher, right?
Yeah. It'll that bait will catch you every bull and cobia all year. As far as just make sure you put some glue on there and rig it up, and it's done. And the only thing you're going to do is change the leader on it after you catch a few fish, because you got to change the leaders, and use 60-pound, by the way.
Okay, we got another one from Mr. Jimenez. He says, if you put in I love this question. If you had to put in a tackle box of 5 of the best lures to fish in the bay for a beginner, what would they be, and what would you recommend? I love that question because from this show's start, I really wanted to lessen the learning curve for the beginning angler.
Okay.
So I love that question.
Mm-hmm.
The 5 best baits that you want to use for
if you're going to get a beginner started.
And what are we targeting? Striped bass,
let's just say
black sea bass, trout.
Let's just say we're targeting specks, white perch, stripers, and red drum.
Okay. I would go with all right, striped bass, 3/4 ounce pink lady, hot chartreuse XL. Fish that all year. Like we said, if you want to get a bull, a cobia, boom.
So how heavy was that jig head for the bull bull red?
1.5 ounces.
Got it.
Now, if when the bait starts to get smaller, they're feeding on more of the rain minnows and things like that, I'm going to go right here. Here's number 3. I'm going to put that cherry bomb right there on a slam shady. I'm going to catch rockfish, trout, the whole gamut. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 hot pink rain minnow, 1 ounce. That's going to get you black sea bass, Spanish mackerel, bluefish, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I left Spanish mackerel off that list, but I mean, you want to throw a lure in there for that beginner angler. It's going to help with that,
This thing
right?
crushes flounder. I got a 19-inch flounder last year, and I can't tell you how many shorts I caught on it. It's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by the way, these are giveaway items. These are for the best question. Okay. Beer run.
As we still have time for another couple of questions, so.
Beer run and a pink lady.
Nice.
There you go. There's your 5 simple, that's all you need. And I'm telling you, and I'm throwing in you want to go fishing right now with me today? You're going to tie that on with these, the BKDs. Or you're going to put this head on these bustin' baits right there in that mackerel color, the fat boys. Got to have it. Just got to have it.
I got a question coming in from our boy Tommy Tech Outdoors.
Oh, Tommy.
Yeah. He said, yes, do you like to use scented gel on your lures?
That's a good question.
Let me tell you a story about that, Tommy. So when I was guiding, you know, I had Uncle Frank in the boat. So we had a nephew, we had a brother-in-law, we had Uncle Frank, and all he wanted to fish with was his 7-foot ugly stick that he catches catfish on in Ohio. And he said he don't need none of that Procure, nothing like that. And his nephew was slamming him like just left and right. It was fish like I was having to work to get all of his fish off of his line, and Frank ain't caught anything yet. No, I don't need none of that stuff. And then finally he started putting some of that Procure on, and he kept catching, and he wouldn't use one of my JLS rods to catch a nice rockfish. He never finished the day with a keeper. Everyone, I think our biggest fish in the boat was 36 inches, and he just got schooled by his family. It was terrible. Yeah, put that super gel on there. I put it on my metals. I put it on my topwater. I put it on my jerk baits, all my plastics. It goes on anything that I throw in the water, in my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Good question, Tommy.
Yeah, you know, I used to be not anti-scent, but I was just like, you know, it's just one extra thing. I don't want to mess with it. It's not going to make that big of a difference. But I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed the fishery has gotten a little bit more, progressively more difficult each year. And I'll take every advantage I can get nowadays.
Look, rockfish have taste buds on the outside of their lips. You know, they have hair in their nostrils. The big ones do. Scent is their superpower. And the other thing is, if like right now, I love having 6 people in my boat dunking down stuff, and it's all got Procure on it. You know why? It smells like a chum slick down there. The restaurant is here, fellas. Get up, wake up. It's all right here, and it helps. And a piece of advice I give everybody is that before I turn the key to set the next drift, you need to already put fresh, you know, you don't put a bunch on there. Just freshen it up, just a little bit of slab on there, and then do it. And then like the baits that have the little cut in them in the belly there, just put a little drop in there, and then put your rod in the rod holder and reset. And here's why. I can't tell you how many times I go to reset my drift and I run right over the top of fish. I kill the engine and we start slinging the baits out there and we start catching. You don't want to be putting Procure in there, you know. And then there's and like my nephew came out with like I'm catching a fish every drift, every dip. Ryan, did you put fresh scent on your bait? Nah, I didn't do it. I'm like, dude, we could have been doubled up, but he didn't do it, you know. So it's important to do it. Seriously.
Good stuff. We've actually flown through an hour. You got a couple more minutes for us?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Couple more minutes.
I can talk all night.
Awesome. You had a question, Anastasia?
Yeah, question statement. So we talked a lot about, you know, using jigs, cutting ice, getting beasts out of the water. And I was thinking, just from reading your bio, because I feel passionately about this too. At the end of the day, what is it really about? Fishing.
It's only about one thing. It's about going out there and having fun.
Thank you. Yes.
You can't, you know, I'm glad you said that, because you
question of the night.
Oh, I get the power pack.
Yeah, I love that question. The whole purpose of going out there is to have fun.
Yes.
And you need to have your music going. You need to have your quality time with your family and friends.
Yes.
You just want to go out there, and it needs to be fun. You need to have fun, not busting on each other too much, but just having fun. And the other thing is that while you're out there, and you'll always hear that anytime I do a seminar, I tell people, introduce yourselves before we even get this thing started. To each of you guys, introduce yourselves to each other and exchange phone numbers. You know why? because at some point this year, you're going to see that guy in his boat, and you're sitting next to him today, and he's going to be out there with you, and you need to know who he is.
Yes.
And all you have to do
Cheers.
is listen to what we listen to what we have to say, and you will help each other catch more fish. So don't go out there and think that's my spot. That's what. Don't get on my fish. That's my fish, or things like that. And while you're doing that, you're angry, and then that was somebody you're sitting next to at a seminar, a fish show, or somewhere like that. Fishing should be a community, and I really try to promote that.
Yeah.
Oh man, we've all been to the, I try to avoid it, but to that fleet that settles in about 1.5 miles north of the Bay Bridge,
Oh gosh,
man,
I've heard stories
the
about
miserable faces on those guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're fishing, man. This is awesome.
Right. Hey, dude, I've been out there at Point Lookout, and there's not very many boats out there. There was one other boat next to us. We had bulls all over the place under our boat on our side skins. We're all hooked up, and I'm pointing at the fish, and the guy coming by me, he don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, they're right here. I'm telling him, they're right. Cast your lines next to my fish. And they just kind of looked at us and like, let me get out of here. That's community, man.
Yeah. Well, I love community. I did pier fishing for a while, and there's just great community on the piers. It's very different from being on a kayak or a boat. I mean, I went crabbing, brought some peelers with me, and guy was fishing on the other end, and I said, hey, if you can crack this open for me because I don't have anything to use, I'll split this with you. Friends for life.
Cool.
Friends for life. And one time I was out there with some kids and teaching them how to fish, and the guys on the dredger saw us fishing. They took their little skiff, rowed over to us, came with their fishing rods and their nets, and they helped me teach these children how to fish on the pier. I mean, that's awesome. Amazing community to me.
See, she's a nicer person than me. I'd be like, hey man, could you go dredge my creek, please?
Yes. By the way, you need to take care of that over there. But yeah, just amazing experiences, that I've had, just meeting different people and connecting with other people. It's just amazing.
Two last questions. One from Eddie Weber. He just asked, what's your go-to scent? Do you select a different scent for your for different times of the year?
Scent.
Procure.
Oh, scent. Oh, yeah. I do change my scent. Good question. So, the fish that are coming in next, come March, I like to go to mullet. And the reason is they're eating mullet on the way in here. And they go down to South Carolina, they're eating mullet. So they're used to eating mullet when they come up here. When July hits, I like to go to eel. So the reason for that is that these fish are out there eating eels. I've had bluefish barf up pieces of eels in my boat when I get them in the boat. They're out there feeding on the eels. When I'm going for my flounder, my shoreline sea trout, I am using shedder crab. And right now I'm using herring. And so that's how I mix it all up.
And the final question is a question before we do the prize giveaway. I asked this question to everyone, but particularly guys that have been on the water as long as you have, LJ. What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you out in the water?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'm on the fence between two stories on this. You know what? I'll do it. I haven't told many people this story. Okay. This damn near classified. Okay. So
not anymore.
Here's what happened. It's actually unbelievable. And nobody believes me until I show them the damn picture of my screen. So anyway, we're out there in the channel, and I'm going to say December. I'm pretty sure. If it wasn't, it was November. And we're out there and we're fishing. We're the only boat. That's nothing unusual for us. And there's a military helicopter coming up the bay. I'm like, huh. Wonder what that is. That's weird. And it's just going slow. It's kind of high, and it's coming up the bay. And this Parker, like a 25-foot Parker that has the cabin in it, you know, he had his planer boards out, and he's trolling his rods, right? He's interested in what we're doing. Like, why are you out there? The only boat around me is you, so I'm gonna come see what you're doing, right? He comes out towards us, and that military helicopter starts coming down, and he's all of a sudden he goes, oh, and that boat, that Parker that was trolling, it goes away from us, and it goes towards the Chop Tank River, the mouth of the Chop Tank River. I'm like, huh, that's weird. And all of a sudden, that military helicopter got so low to the water, it made a water fountain come off the water like a tornado, like a, you know. And that boat, he didn't care. He just hauled ass out of there. I'm like, oh my God, we all seen in my boat. Like, do you see that? I've never seen that happen before. And then my son, like, my son's not a kid. He's in his 30s at this time. And he goes, hey, Dad, is this bait? And I'm looking at the boat and I said, dang, that's bait. That's the thickest bait I've ever seen. Because it was solid. I'm like, golly, man, and we're in deep water, okay? And it comes through and it comes through and it comes through and it comes through. And then it starts to cone a little bit at the back of it. And then it had a rudder. And it had like bars, like a bar on, because I digital down scan, it had like a rail on top of it the whole time. I said, oh my God, that's a submarine. And it had to be. And I'm like, and so we rewind the fish, you know, the down scan, and I get a nice shot of it. And like, that's why that submarine must have told that helicopter to get that boat the hell out of there. And he got the wrong boat. He should have got us. And
wow.
That was and I got to thinking about it. This is part of the reason I didn't want to bring this up, is because I got to thinking about it. If you think about how close Washington, D.C. is to the Chesapeake Bay, what is it? 30 miles as the
yeah, I used to drive it all the time. And I was thankful for every one of those 32 miles between my house and D.C.
Yeah. So I think that was some type of an anti-ballistic submarine. I'm totally, you know, full of it, but that's the only thing I can think of. Some type of it was an operation that came up the bay that day that we just happened to be sitting there on it. So.
Wow. I just want to see, like, you know, we get a bull shark every now and then, especially down in those waters that we fish in, you know,
right.
the southern, like Point Lookout, Solomon's area. I just want to see a bull shark or a dolphin on my sonar one time, you know. Never have, but that's good stuff. That's a great story. Now that you
bring up that bull shark thing, man, one of these days I want to get me some skates and cut them things all up and just go night fishing all night long, you know, and down there at the mouth of that Patuxent River on the south end of that thing, and anchor up in that shallow water, and just, that's why they're here. They're following those skates. They love them.
Yeah, they're eating their brothers and sisters. Because that's what a skate is. It's in the shark family. I don't know. What do you guys think? A little drum roll?
Yeah. Oh, man. There's so many good questions. Tommy Tech and Eddie and Paul and Phil and David and Michael. And oh, my gosh. That is a tough one. God. That is a tough one. Those are all great questions. I got to go with Paul. About the
all
bell.
Right. Well, we'll pull Paul's question back up.
I got to go with Paul
Paul's
because
probably like, I've done this, guest gets to choose the winner a lot. And I'm sure people are like, either tune off or something like that, or they win and they're like, oh, great, I get a hat. This is significant.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul's question was, why do winter rockfish seem to prefer metal over soft plastic? Solid question. And one that I've also wondered about. I think I actually asked you that at your shop the other day, didn't I?
We did.
yeah, you might have.
LJ?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. Now,
I
Lady
did.
C had the best question, by the way.
Say that again.
She did. You had the best question. Unfortunately,
I did.
Unfortunately, we're not eligible. And we also have boxes full of your stuff already. It would almost be a shame.
I appreciate you guys a lot.
But
But I take donations. So that power pack, if anyone wants to donate to the Lady C Fund, I accept all kinds of lures and tackles.
But LJ, man, you're the man. Great guests, great prizes, tons of information.
Awesome.
I think we got up to just about 40 viewers tonight. So, for everyone that tuned in, really just want to thank you all for your support and for tuning in. Next week we got Butch Huber and then Jim Cooper from Heroes on the Water.
Travis.
Oh.
Travis,
Travis,
Travis asked a question tonight, and I just didn't have time to put it up because it was a joke. He was saying, if you don't have a bat, how do you dispatch a cobia on the boat? But
I know how he does it.
yeah, we'll keep that. We'll keep that to ourselves. But guys, thanks so much
ask him
for
at
watching.
the next on his show.
We'll ask him. Ask him then.
Yeah.
But we've had a great time.
Yes, so nice to meet you. Wonderful man.
Yes, good to meet you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah.
And guys, everyone who joined, thanks for making this a great kickoff to another amazing season.
Got off in town, resident on 70 Road. Got a nice wife and kids, y'all right inside the grove. You know I like Miss Clark. Yeah, I should know he is my friend. Say if I just stay out the grave, he'll see that I don't go through the pen. Miss Clark is a lawyer, he could last.